I've spent the last couple days thinking about my 40s. I'm 48 right now, and I look back at when I was 38, and the first thing that comes up is I was a mess. I was a mess mentally, I was a mess physically. 38 was when, I had just gotten out of a relationship. It hurt me, and I was dealing with like drinking, drugs, experimentation, just all those different things. I was still a writer, so I threw myself into my novels, and I worked at a horrible pace, just overworking, over perfecting, stuck in my head all the time. Now, as I'm 48, I'm definitely healthier mentally. I'm healthier physically. I'm healthier emotionally. And that's not to say that some days don't come with any exhausting periods. I'll go days where, like the last couple of days, just been like really stressed out, anxious. It's exhausted. And you begin to think like, what is all this for? All the therapy and the working on my emotions, embodying my emotions, connecting back with my emotions, connecting and healing from trauma. Just periods in my life. Wouldn't I have been better? And there's always going to be, I think, a moment in our experience as a human being, but I think it comes up in a particularly chaotic transition of midlife, where was it all worth it, right? I think that for people like me who are highly sensitive persons, who are INFJs, who are, deeply motivated by depth and meaning, that we take in emotional energy. People like me, especially people in our own heads, all you people out there that are stuck in your own heads all the time, all you guys, sometimes we think this, and sometimes we think that wouldn't it have been better if we just got hit in the head with a very large, heavy weight? Then we can walk around like, hi, how are you? I am fine. Like ignorance is bliss is just like, yeah, it is, isn't it? So why am I saying this? Why am I saying this? Why am I making a video on the bliss of ignorance when my work is dealing with self-awareness and working on that part, and how it's not all fun and games? It's actually really hard. The word passion comes from suffering, and so having compassion is suffering with. So following your passion is actually something that you'll hurt for, you'll hurt yourself for, you'll suffer through, and that's the hero's journey. That's the one thing, right? And I bring this up because it is worth it. It is worth, because when you're ignorant of so much of what's going on unconsciously, this is true in Jungian psychology, especially, but in all different areas. What you don't know about yourself is a huge blind spot. It's a huge shadow. It comes to bite you over and over. The more we know about ourselves, the more we begin to work with ourselves and really help find out who we are in this world, is a lot of work. But the more conscious we are of what makes us tick, what our blind sides are, what our shadow is, what projections and expectations we throw out onto the world and others, the more we begin to work on those things, the more control we have over our lives. And not necessarily control in the sense of like, I'm controlling it now, but you're just more aware of what's going on. And so when we overthinkers wish for bliss. Yeah, in that very simplistic idea, it would be nice to just turn off our brain, um, and be, someone who doesn't think about these things all the time, or over plans, or is hyper vigilant, or worries about these different things. And it would be great to not know those things. And in tandem with that idea is this idea of like, well, I'm not going to go to therapy. I'm not going to go to therapy. I want to start digging that up. I don't want to deal with that. Or it's like working on your habits, right? Or working on your, any kind of work you do can be this idea of like, no, ignorance is bliss. But what we don't become fully conscious of, it controls us. We're a victim to what we don't work on ourselves. And you see the evidence everywhere. You see it in very violent cases, or you see it in large groups, in hate groups. You see it, I mean, like, that's the most extreme, but even everyday stuff. If we don't know who we are, we project ourselves onto others. So they become the evil people, or we're the victims of them. And it takes a lot of responsibility to do that. It takes a lot of work to do that. And I'd like to believe that you're following me in this, in watching this video, because you know a little bit more about yourself. You're doing the work on yourself. You're not just someone that's like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll I'm not gonna follow what this guy does, and I really don't care about any of this stuff. But why would you follow this video then? Is what I'm saying. So yes, especially in these last couple of days, it feels like, yes, ignorance would be bliss. But then 10 years ago, I was very ignorant. And I just lived in la la land. And I would just drink and just do drugs, or like have random sex. And I wasn't who I wanted to be, and I wanted to change. So now that I'm at this point now where like, I feel some days where like, and you might feel this too, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you feel this way. But I feel like some days I'm like, it's just, why did I do that? Why did I start going to therapy and dig up all this stuff? Why do I have to deal with my body and embodiment and feel these emotions? Why did I figure out that I'm a highly sensitive person? That I'm always in my head and taking on emotions? Why all these different things? Why did I figure out about my past? Or like, why am I worrying about the future? Why can't I just live in the moment, right? And yeah, there's going to be moments like that. And I think that's true in any story, any tale you tell. There's going to be a moment of like, what did I get myself into? I just thought of like The Hobbit. And The Hobbit's a great story where you read it, and every step of the way, he's a Bilbo. I'm sorry. I'm Bilbo or Frodo. I always mix those two up. Sorry for that. I'm nerd adjacent. I don't know too much about the lore, but I love the book. And the main character of The Hobbit, which I believe is Bilbo, every step of the way, he's like, man, I wish I was like in my own place, sipping tea, having my second breakfast. Like, yeah, that's why am I here? I'm cold. I'm being chased by goblins. But he learns so much about himself in that journey. And he grows a partnership and a relationship with Gandalf and like the dwarves, and he becomes a hero. And he was the last one to know. He was just doing what he just does what he does, and he's made, I think the point is he made good on a situation that he found himself in. And I think that's all we can really ask ourselves as we go through this transition, as we go through our 40s, and as we start to peel back these layers of social conditioning and consumer culture and in our personal history and our social history and all these different things, we are starting to peel off ourselves like second skins, and they hurt in the process. is that all we can hope to do is just do our best at that time. Here's the moment. Here's what I know. Let me try my best. There's a great, it's not even a quote from a movie. It's a it's a bodily movement that I think about. I just watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and they're in the future, and Bill does his thing. He's like, be excellent to each other. And there's a moment where Keanu Reeves, who plays Ted, looks down and goes, that's my favorite part of that movie. That's what I think we as overthinkers must do more of. That physical party on, dudes, like, here's something that literally just popped in my head. Sure. Like that, you see that all throughout that movie. And I think of that movie as far as like ignorance is bliss. I can go into another video about this, but Bill and Ted is like the classic fool that saves the day. They are the fools. They are the Parsifals in the Grail tale. They are, they're the fools that just know what they know, and they're trying their best, and they just kind of give a shrug and go at it. I think we need more of that in our midlife. We need more of that from men like us who are overthinkers and are very passionate and sensitive. I think we need more of that. So I guess the moral of this, the lesson in this was like, you are better off than you were 10 years ago. And I think if you think about it, you'll know it's true. And that as we work into our 50s and 60s and 70s, we're going to be getting healthier and better and stronger. And it may not always feel that way. And of course, we'll pine for the past. But I think that just talking about it here, I feel that. Like, I'm healthier in so many ways than I was 10 years ago. And it's just days where it's like, man, oh man, I wish I was back to just rocking out in the band, in the garage, totally ignorant, like, but life needs me here, and life needs you here too. So thank you so much for listening today. If this resonates with you, I'll put a link in the description below about working with me. I do a free 30-minute little initial conversation to see if we gel, if we vibe. So I'll have that in there. But otherwise, be safe and take care.